Hi friends, it's Miss Puglisi reporting to you live from my kitchen today. I saw another teacher reading a book this way and I wanted to do a video myself where you're able to read along with me. Sometimes the one and only Ivan has really awesome illustrations, and if you don't have the book to follow along with me, this is a really great way for you to see what I'm reading as well. Yesterday we left off at a part where Ivan talks about a change coming to the Big Top Mall. I asked my students what that change would be, what type of animal it would be, and a lot of them really did a good job using context clues from the cover of our book. This little baby elephant was a lot of their guesses, so we're going to see if they're right. If you're following along with me, we are on page 60. This is my Benji bookmark, and we are going to get started on page 61, guessing. Bob fears our new neighbor will be a giant cat with slitted eyes and a coiled tail, but Stella says a truck will arrive this afternoon carrying a baby elephant. How do you know, I ask. I sample the air, but all I smell is caramel corn. I love caramel corn. I can hear her, Stella says. She's crying for her mother. I listen. I hear the cars charging past. I hear the snore of the sun bears in their wire domain, but I don't hear any elephants. You're just hoping, I say. Stella closes her eyes. No, she says softly. Not hoping. Not at all. 63. Jambo. My TV is off, so while we wait for the new neighbor, I ask Stella to tell us a story. Stella rubs her right front foot against the wall. Her foot is swollen again, an ugly deep red. If you're not feeling well, Stella, I say, you could take a nap and tell us a story later. I'm fine, she says, and she carefully shifts her weight. Tell us the Jambo story, I say. It's a favorite of mine, but I don't think Bob has ever heard it. Because she remembers everything, Stella knows many stories. I like colorful tales with black beginnings and stormy middles and cloudless blue sky endings, but any story will do. I'm not in a position to be picky. Once upon a time, Stella begins, there was a human boy. He was visiting a gorilla family at a place called a zoo. What's a zoo, Bob asks. He's a street smart dog, but there's much he hasn't seen. A good zoo, Stella said. It is a large domain, a wild cage, a safe place to be. It has room to roam and humans who don't hurt. She pauses, considering her words. A good zoo is how humans make amends. Now this is very, very interesting. I'm going to take a pause here. This book talks about a zoo that's inside a mall. And we know that Ivan, Stella, and Bob live in really small, not well-kept domains. But the story that Stella seems to be telling here is about a zoo that is a good zoo. It takes care of its animals. It treats them with respect. It gives them room to roam and wild cages and large domains. And I love that she says a good zoo is how humans make amends. Amends means how to ask for forgiveness or do things to say sorry. Stella moves a bit, groaning softly. The boy stood on a wall, she continues, watching, pointing, but he lost his balance and fell into the wild cage. Humans are clumsy, I interrupt. If only they would knuckle walk, they wouldn't topple so often. Stella nods. A good point, Ivan. In any case, the boy lay in a motionless heap. While the humans grasped and cried, the silverback, whose name was Jambo, examined the boy, as was his duty, while his troop watched from the safe distance. Jambo stroked the child gently. He smelled the boy's pain, and then he stood watch. When the boy awoke, his humans cried out, "Stay still, don't move!" Because they were certain, humans are always certain about things, that Jambo would crush the boy's life from him. The boy moaned. The crowd waited, hushed, expecting the worst. Jambo led his troop away. Men came down on ropes and whisked the child to waiting arms. Was the boy all right? Bob asked. He wasn't hurt, Stella says, although I wouldn't be surprised if his parents hugged him many times that night in between their scoldings. Bob, who has been chewing his tail, pauses, tilted his head, and says, "Is this a true story?" "I always tell the truth," Stella replies, although I sometimes confuse the facts. Page 67. Lucky. I've heard the Jambo story many times. Stella says that humans found it odd that the huge silverback didn't kill the boy. Why, I wonder, was that so surprising? The boy was young, scared, alone. He was, after all, just another great ape. Bob nudges me with his cold nose. Ivan, he says, why aren't you and Stella in a zoo? I look at Stella. She looks at me. She smiles sadly with her eyes just a little, the way only elephants can do. Just lucky, I guess, she says. Now, do you think that she's saying that sincerely or maybe a bit sarcastically? I think sarcastically. Arrival. Oh, we may be meeting a new character here. Page 68. The new neighbor arrives for the 4 o'clock show. When the truck comes lumbering towards the parking lot, Bob scampers over to inform us. Bob always knows what's happening. He's a useful friend to have, especially when you can't leave your domain. With a groan, Mac lifts the sliding metal door near the food court, the place where deliveries are made. A big white truck is backing up to the door, belching smoke. When the driver opens the truck, I know that Stella is right. A baby elephant is inside. I see her trunk pointing out from the blackness. I'm glad for Stella, but when I glance at her, I see she is not glad at all. Stand back, everyone, Mac yells. We've got a new arrival. This is Ruby, folks. 600 pounds of fun to save our sorry butts. This gal is going to sell us some tickets. Mac and 2 men climb into the back cave of the truck. We hear noise, scuffling, a word Mac uses when he's angry. Ruby makes a noise too, like one of the little trumpets they sell at the gift store. Move, Mac says, but still, there is no Ruby. Move, he says again. We haven't got all day. Inside her domain, Stella paces as much as she's able. 2 steps one way, 2 steps the other. She slaps her trunk against rusty metal bars. She grumbles. Stella, I ask, did you hear the baby? Stella mutters something under her breath, a word she uses when she's angry. Relax, Stella, I say. It'll be okay. Ivan, Stella says, it will never, ever be okay. And I know enough to stop talking. We're going to stop there on page 70. So, I'm going to flip back to the page where we get to see baby Ruby. She looks really scared, and it may be hard for you to see, so I'm going to move it a little closer. She's very scared, and she's just a baby. And it's so interesting that Stella isn't that excited to have her in the zoo. Based off of what Stella said to Ivan and what they've talked about, I can assume that's because where they're at isn't the best place to be. I'm sure Stella is practicing empathy and feels horrible for Ruby, especially because she's a baby and she's scared. Now Stella has someone at the Big Top Zoo Mall that looks like her and is the same species as her, and you would think that this would bring her some type of comfort, but it doesn't seem to be. Ivan's a little bit confused. How do you think Stella's feeling? You can leave a comment below, or if you're in my class, don't forget to fill out the Google form. Tomorrow we're going to read a little bit more of the one and only Ivan, and hopefully learn a little bit more about Ruby and learn more of her character and who she is as an animal. Remember to subscribe below to get updates about when the next video is uploaded, and you can follow me at Miss Pugz with a Z on Instagram to see what's going on in my online classroom and my real life classroom, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.